Hey, how's your experimenting go? Because here's the thing, we are all experimenters in some shape or form. Hey, I'm Alana, and I love to experiment. It's part of who I am. In human design, I am a line 3. So line 3s typically experiment. And I'm wondering, are you an experimenter as well? So if you are a 1-3, a 3-5, a 3-6, or a 6-3 in human design, if you have that for your profile, guess what? You're an experimenter. Sometimes we forget that experimenting can be fun, right? Because we're just so caught up in go, 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 and try this and try that, because we know what works only when we figure out what doesn't work, right? So sometimes it gets exhausting. I want you to know that there is play involved. Now, if you're not a line 3 and you're more logical, more left brain, there is so much experimentation, right? That's what science is all about. We're actually constantly hearing all these scientific things that never really prove anything. It's all about disproving. So when you get out and play and you try something for the first time, if it doesn't work, what do you learn? Probably all kinds of stuff. So I just want to remind you that through the experimentation, sometimes we're so caught up in it not working that we forget that when we find something does work, that we can keep that. So for example, I love to experiment and I found what works for me. And last year, during 2020, there were things that physically I knew my body needed that I cut out. I got so caught up in experimenting with learning new skills, more on the energetics in that realm of play, that for some of the things that I needed physically, it totally fell off. And I went back into experimental mode. And I want to remind you that when you find something that works, keep it, right? That is the most glorifying and rewarding part of experimentation, is when you finally figure out what does work. Now, logically, we want to keep improving. We want to keep making things better. And it's not always easy. Sometimes we also find what works and then think that we should not change anymore. I want to gently remind us that it's okay to notice when things are no longer working, because maybe we've changed, the world around us has changed, or something in our work, process, project, whatever it is, has changed. Guess what that means? It's time to grow and evolve and experiment again. So if you have a business like I do, you're constantly tweaking and figuring out what works. And not just what works for everyone, but what works for you and who you are. And that is the essence of prosperity. Finding what works for you. That's why I love working with individuals, couples, and entrepreneurs on aligning who you are with what you want to create more sustainable prosperity. Because honestly, if we're experimenting just for the heck of it, and we don't know what it is that we want to create, and then we create it and aren't happy with it or fulfilled, and then we go off to the next best thing, that's okay. But that's also part of that exhaustion that can come up with experimenting. The key is for you to find your flow, your fun, right? What am I wearing here? Oh, this wild, fast, and free. You are wild, fast, and free. You're here to play. You're here to figure out what works. And sometimes it's so much easier to figure out what doesn't work. But remember the polarity. What doesn't work is going to drive you closer to what does work. So experiment in your work, in your life, in your relationships, with your money, with love and support, and figuring out, dialing in what works for you. And also experiment with your emotions and who you are and what it's like to express or share your heart or tap into your intuition. Feel safe and secure in knowing your power and your creativity, right? All of these inner aspects, you're constantly evolving through experimentation and play. If you don't know your human design, you're invited to go to prosperityalignment.com/how and request your personal human design chart. Because honestly, it's so much fun to know more about yourself, because then that's how you know which way you're going in the experiment to grow, to learn, to play. Thank you so much for being you. You are prosperity. Remember that. Much love.